Thank you for coming back because we're going to talk about this single and miserable. Okay? I just want to see how you're doing first. You doing all right? If you're not, we finna talk about it, okay? But I hope you're doing well. Single and miserable are not the best combinations. We both know that. We both know that. Single and miserable is not the best combinations. And you want to know how to overcome this. I call this the first step, right? Single and miserable. You want somebody to be in that, in your space. You want somebody that you can share love with, right? We're going to start off right here because this is going to be the first step of getting rid of that feeling. This is the first step. It's not the final step because it's steps to this, right? Single and miserable. Is that normal? Yes, it is. It's normal. And it happens more than you think. And don't think that you're the only person that feels this way because you're not. You're absolutely not the only person that feels this way, that being single and miserable and you're like, I must be the only one, or why haven't my person come yet, and why do I have to be single and miserable when the person next to me is happy and in love. That's what single and miserable feels like, but times 10 in some cases. Let's start off here. When you love you, the next person will see how you treat you. Did you hear that? I'm going to repeat it again, okay? When you love you, the next person will see how you treat you. Okay, you want to say, well, I do love myself. Okay, we don't have to go there. Not today. Loving yourself is one thing, but do you love yourself on that level of welcoming someone else into your space? Are you ready to welcome someone in your space? Don't argue with me because it's just a question. Let's start off with the internal and external. We're going to talk about that. In order to welcome someone in your space, is your environment welcoming? Let me give you an example of that, okay? When you invite someone into your space, is it clear enough for them to feel welcome? I'm going to give you some examples. Let me give you an example. When you welcome someone to your room or your living room, we're going to say living room because we're going to have this a common space. When you welcome someone in your living room, do they have somewhere to sit? Meaning, do you have clothes on the couch? Do you have shoes all over the way where they can stumble? Or when they come in, can they come in and have a seat and feel comfortable? That's one example. Not in like the physical sense, it's just like a metaphor, right? Do you have a space, a welcoming, comfortable space to let a person in? Now we're going to talk about mental, right? When you let a person into your space, is your mind clear enough to take on the next person's challenges? You know, when you meet a person, you're usually trying to show them that you are You're the one, right? That you are the stuff. When you invite somebody into your space, you are telling them that I have enough love to give and I want to share it. And I'm so sick and tired of going through the same cycle of dating and then absolutely not getting nowhere. And I'm sick of it. I just can't find my person. If you feel like that, then most of the time we still have some healing to do. If you really think about it, when a person finds their person, it's usually because they're not thinking about it. It just happens naturally, right? Because they're so busy focused on something that they want to do in life. Like they are so focused on their craft or their hobby or work or school. Like they're always busy focusing on something. And then when they meet a person, they say, oh, well, I was at a party that day and then I just came across them and then we just start chatting and then we just hit it off from there. Right? If you focus more on you, in other terms, loving you first. And a lot of people don't go back and forth saying, well, I do love me, but it's a difference. It's a different type of love. It's a peaceful love. Meaning if you go on a date and the first questions they want to know is, what do you like to do for fun? And if you say, oh, I like going hiking, I like going shooting pool, I like going swimming, I like poetry, and you never done none of those things that month or the month before, you never done all of those things in a row like you named them recently by yourself. You're just naming some things that you either want to do or some things that you've done before in the past that you haven't done in years by yourself. Then come on now. Be realistic. They say, okay, well, what do you like to do? Well, recently I read a book and I enjoyed the book. I started the book on Monday and I finished it on a Wednesday. And I actually started another book that Wednesday afternoon and I'm enjoying that. And then I decided to go to the movies. I went out, took myself out on an outing to the movies, and I enjoyed this movie, and it was so great. I think you should see it if you've never seen it before. I think that you should enjoy watching that movie. Then the person is like, okay, well, you're actively doing these things that you say you enjoy. Do you hear me? That means you are investing time in yourself first. There's nothing more attractive than a person that is constantly doing things that they enjoy doing without someone else company, because it shows that you're independent. It shows that you value yourself because you're putting your own time and money and effort in yourself first. And then it's like, if I bring you into my world, I would like for you to enjoy those things that I already do versus you haven't done it in years. And you expecting to invite someone to your world and to just pick up that emotion that you dropped off in your past. If you say, I like gardening, or I like watching football. I like watching football, I like watching basketball, I like listening to music. and this is something you do on a daily basis or something you do periodically throughout the week, you know, then that's something to talk about because it's something that you're actively doing. But if you're not actively doing these things, then how are you going to invite someone into your space and expect them to pick up those emotions of happiness from something you used to do versus something that you do now? And if you have to say, I haven't found the time to do those things lately, or I don't have the money to do those things lately, then are you really ready to let somebody in your space right now? Are you really ready to involve someone in your life to start doing those things again? Walk in the park or even walk in the community. Hopefully, it's a safe environment, or doing those things, or even going to the mall without spending money, just walking around, looking at the different stores. All of that is free so far, in most cases. So if you can't take those times, and or even going to the library, or turning on the TV, or whatever, or going to a restaurant, sitting alone, getting to know you, if you feel uncomfortable going somewhere on a date with yourself, then you need to work on that. If you feel uncomfortable going on a date by yourself, you need to work on that. And that's a challenge, like, that you have to overcome if you don't feel comfortable doing that. If you don't feel comfortable just doing something, like if it's coloring word puzzles or something that you enjoy doing, a hobby that you enjoy doing, if you don't feel comfortable doing it by yourself and you have to have somebody there to accompany you, then you need to spend time with you. You got to spend time with you first for you let somebody else in. And once you get to that point to where you can actually do that, then you can gradually start letting people in. Start gradually in letting people in. Like I said, this is the beginning. This is the first steps. These are the basic steps of getting out of that miserable state. This is the first step of getting out of that miserable state. Find your happiness. Don't be worrying about what that person over there is doing, because he and she are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to be in love. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. But just because it happened right away for them don't mean that it's going to happen right away for you, because it's still things that needs to take place. Okay, and it's easy to say, well, I already done all that and I'm just ready and I'm just tired and this and that. If you feel like that when you get that person, it is chances that you can overdo it because you're so excited to let that person in your world. It should not be like that. When you get them, you be like, oh, I just love you. I just love his company. I just love her. I just da 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 da. It's just like you want to move too fast because you finally got that person in your space, and then you got to move so fast, and then you run them off, and then you got to start over. Take your time. It's okay. Just take your time. Take your time. And when that time comes, when that time comes, when have a great day. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon.